Of course. Can I start you with any drinks? The woman barely glanced at her. I'll have a glass of your most expensive champagne. He'll have scotch. Neat. Make sure it's the 18-year. Zara wrote down the order with hands that trembled so badly she could barely read her own writing. Her phone vibrated again. Another call from the hospital. In the bar area, Zara called the hospital back while the bartender prepared drinks. Miss Vex, where are you? The nurse sounded stressed. Mira is asking for you. The surgeon needs to take her into the operating room within the next hour. I'm coming, Zara whispered, voice breaking. I just need 1 more hour. Please tell Mira I love her and I'm coming as fast as I can. She returned to table 7 with drinks, but her hands were shaking so violently that as she reached to place the champagne glass down, it tilted. Zara watched in horror as golden liquid spilled across the white tablecloth and splashed onto the woman's crimson dress. Oh my God, the woman shrieked, jumping up. You stupid, clumsy idiot. This dress is Valentino. Do you have any idea how much this costs? I'm so sorry, Zara stammered, grabbing napkins, but the woman slapped her hands away. Don't touch me. You've done enough damage. The woman's face turned red. Damien, do something. I want this incompetent fool fired immediately. The entire restaurant fell silent. Zara felt tears streaming down her face before she could stop them. This was it. She'd be fired, lose the income they desperately needed, and Mira was in the hospital waiting for her, but then Damien stood up, his voice cutting through the tension like a blade. Victoria, sit down and stop making a scene. Victoria gaped at him. Excuse me? Did you not see what she just did to my dress? I saw an accident, Damien said calmly. I also see a young woman who is clearly upset about something much more important than spilled champagne. The dress can be cleaned. Your behavior cannot. He turned to Zara, and his eyes were kind in a way that made her chest ache. Are you all right? The gentleness in his voice was Zara's undoing. A sob escaped before she could stop it. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. My little sister is in the hospital. She needs emergency surgery and they need me to sign consent forms, but I can't leave until. Stop, Damien said softly. He pulled his wallet and placed several $100 bills on the table. Then he looked directly at Zara. Get your things. I'm driving you to the hospital right now. What? Zara couldn't believe what she was hearing. Damien, you can't be serious, Victoria hissed. We have dinner plans, can wait, he finished firmly. He hadn't taken his eyes off Zara. Your sister needs you. Nothing else matters right now. Go get your purse. Zara didn't wait for him to change his mind. She ran to the staff room, grabbed her belongings, and when she came back out, Damien was waiting by the front door. Let's go, he said, holding the door open. They walked out into the cool evening air. Zara followed him to a sleek black car, and he opened the passenger door for her before sliding into the driver's seat. Memorial Children's Hospital, he asked, starting the engine. Yes. Thank you. I don't understand why you're doing this, but thank you. Damien pulled out into traffic. You don't need to understand right now. Just tell me about your sister. What's her name? Mira. She's 8 years old. She's all the family I have left. As they drove through city streets, Zara found herself talking, telling this stranger about Myra's love for fairy tales, her collection of stuffed animals, how she made Zara laugh even on the hardest days, and Damien listened with attention that felt genuine, asking questions that showed he actually cared about the answers. When they pulled up to the hospital entrance 20 minutes later, Zara turned to thank him properly, but he was already getting out. You're coming in? She asked in surprise. Someone should be with you, he said simply. You shouldn't have to go through this alone. As they walked through the hospital doors together, Zara had no idea that her life was about to change in ways she could never have imagined. The fluorescent lights of the Grand Pearl restaurant cast a golden glow over white tablecloths as Zara Vex balanced 3 steaming plates along her left arm. At 25, she'd mastered the art of moving through the elegant dining room with practiced grace, her dark hair pulled back in a neat bun, her smile fixed despite exhaustion. Beneath the skin tone modifier on her wrist, her natural violet skin remained hidden. Zara was Etherian, sent to Earth 3 years ago to study human family structures and caregiving systems. Her people had evolved beyond nuclear families, and the Etherian Institute wanted to understand why humans formed such intense emotional bonds. What Zara hadn't anticipated was becoming part of a human family herself. When the Martinez family who'd helped establish her Earth identity died in a car accident, she'd taken guardianship of their 8-year-old daughter, Mira. The research subject had become her little sister, her whole world. The phone in Zara's apron vibrated for the 3rd time in 5 minutes. Her stomach twisted with anxiety as she set down plates at table 12 and hurried toward the back hallway. "Hello?" Her voice came out barely above a whisper. "Is this Zara Vex, guardian of Mira Martinez?" A professional female voice asked. "Yes, that's me. What happened? Is Mira okay?" Zara's heart hammered against her ribs. Mira was brought to the emergency room about 20 minutes ago. She collapsed at school with severe abdominal pain. We believe it's acute appendicitis. She needs surgery as soon as possible. The hallway tilted beneath Zara's feet. Sweet, innocent 8-year-old Mira who still slept with her stuffed rabbit and believed in fairy tales. "I'm coming right now," Zara said, already moving toward the staff room. "Miss Vex, we need you to sign consent forms before we can operate. Time is critical. I'll be there in 15 minutes. Zara burst into the staff room and grabbed her purse, but before she could leave, the restaurant manager appeared in the doorway. Helena Walsh was a woman in her mid-50s with steel-gray hair pulled back so tightly it seemed to stretch her face. "Vex, where do you think you're going?" "Mrs. Walsh, I'm so sorry. It's an emergency. My sister is in the hospital. She needs surgery and I have to sign consent forms. You'll leave when your shift ends, not before." Helena crossed her arms, blocking the doorway. "Do you have any idea who just made a reservation for table 7? Nathaniel Cross. The Nathaniel Cross, the man who owns half the commercial real estate in this city. If we impress him tonight, he could bring his business associates here regularly." "Mrs. Walsh, please. My sister could die. Table 7 is that important," Helena interrupted as if Zara hadn't spoken. "If you walk out that door before serving them, don't bother coming back. But if you stay and do your job like a professional, you can leave after they've finished their meal." The choice before Zara was impossible. She needed this job desperately. The money from her 2 waitressing positions barely covered rent, food, and Myra's school expenses. But Mira was in the hospital, scared and in pain, waiting for her. "How long will the dinner take?" Zara heard herself ask, hating the words. "An hour, maybe 90 minutes if they order dessert." Helena smiled with satisfaction. "Now fix your face and get back to work. Mr. Cross will be here any moment." Zara returned to the dining room in a daze. She checked her reflection in a mirror, wiped away tears, and forced her professional smile back into place. Her hands wouldn't stop shaking. 15 minutes later, the front doors opened and Damien Cross entered with the kind of presence that made every head turn. He was tall, easily over 6 feet, with broad shoulders that filled out his custom-tailored suit. His dark hair was styled with casual perfection, and his features were striking, but it was his eyes that caught Zara's attention when he walked past, deep brown, almost black, with an intensity that seemed to see through everything. With him was a woman who looked like she'd stepped off a runway, wearing a crimson dress and diamond jewelry that glittered at her throat. Zara took a deep breath and approached table 7 with water and menus. "Good evening. Welcome to the Grand Pearl. My name is Zara and I'll be taking care of you tonight." Damien looked up and for a brief moment their eyes met. Something flickered across his face, but then it was gone. "Thank you, Zara," he said, his voice deep and warm. "We'll need a few minutes to look at the menu." The emergency room smelled like antiseptic and fear. Zara rushed to the reception desk, Damien following close behind. "I'm Zara Vex. My sister Mira Martinez, she needs surgery. I need to sign consent forms." The nurse typed quickly. "Yes, Miss Vex. Mira is in pre-op right now. Let me page the surgeon. You can wait in the family consultation room. Third door on the left." Zara nodded and turned toward the hallway, but her legs suddenly felt like water. The adrenaline that had carried her was draining away, leaving raw terror. Mira was going into surgery. What if something went wrong? "Hey," Damien's voice was gentle beside her, his hand touching her elbow, steadying her. "Breathe. You need to breathe." Zara realized she'd been holding her breath. She inhaled shakily. "I'm sorry. I'm falling apart and you don't even know me." "You should go." "I'm not going anywhere," he said firmly, guiding her toward the consultation room. "Come on, let's get you sitting down." The consultation room was small, painted in soft blue tones. Zara sank into a chair and buried her face in her hands. Damien sat beside her, close enough that she could feel his warmth, but not touching, giving her space. For several minutes, neither spoke. Then the door opened and a man in surgical scrubs entered. "Miss Vex, I'm Dr. Pierce. I'll be performing Myra's appendectomy. Is she okay? Can I see her before surgery?" "She's stable, but we need to operate within 30 minutes. Her appendix is inflamed and at risk of rupturing. This is a routine procedure, but I need you to understand there are always risks." Dr. Pierce set a clipboard on Zara's lap and began explaining the procedure. Zara tried to focus, but the words blurred together. She picked up the pen with trembling fingers and signed her name. "Can I see her?" Zara asked when he finished. "Of course. Follow me." Zara stood, then looked at Damien. "Would you wait here? I should see Mira by myself." "I'll be right here when you get back," he promised. Dr. Pierce led Zara to the preoperative area where Mira lay on a hospital bed that looked far too big for her small body. Her face was pale, eyes wide and frightened. But when she saw Zara, she burst into tears of relief. "Zara, you came." Zara rushed to her side and gathered Mira into her arms. "Of course I came, sweetheart. I'm so sorry it took me a while. I'm here now. My tummy hurts really bad," Mira whimpered. "The doctors say they have to cut me open. I'm scared." "I know you're scared, baby girl. But Dr. Pierce is a really good doctor. You're going to take a little nap, and when you wake up, the pain will be gone and I'll be right there. Promise?" "I promise," Zara whispered, kissing her forehead. "You are the bravest little girl in the whole world, and I love you more than anything." A nurse appeared. "I'm sorry, Miss Vex, but we need to take Mira to the operating room now." Zara hugged Mira one more time. "I love you, Mira. Be brave for me." "I love you too, Zara." Zara watched as they wheeled Myra's bed toward the surgical wing. Mira waved until she disappeared through double doors. Then Zara was alone, and the tears came flooding out in great wrenching sobs. She found her way back to the consultation room in a blur. The moment she walked through the door, Damien stood up. He didn't say anything, didn't offer empty platitudes. He simply opened his arms. Zara walked into them without thinking. She pressed her face against his chest and cried like she hadn't allowed herself to cry in 3 years. Not since the night she'd learned Myra's parents were dead and she was now responsible for a 5-year-old child. Damien held her firmly, one hand rubbing slow circles on her back, the other cradling the back of her head. He smelled like expensive cologne and something warmer underneath, something that felt like safety. Eventually her tears slowed and she became aware of what she was doing, clinging to a man she'd just met, soaking his expensive suit. "I'm sorry," she mumbled, trying to step back, but his arms didn't loosen. "Don't apologize. You're allowed to fall apart." "You don't seem like the type to fall apart," Zara said, voice muffled against his chest. "I wasn't always like this." His voice changed, became heavier. "When I was 9 years old, my little brother Marcus got appendicitis just like Mira." Zara pulled back enough to look up at his face. His jaw was tight, old pain in his eyes. "He was 6, Damien continued. "We were at our family's country house, miles from the nearest hospital. By the time we got him to the emergency room, his appendix had ruptured. He went septic. The infection spread too fast." "Damien," Zara breathed, her hand instinctively reaching up to touch his face. "He died 3 days later." I was sitting beside his hospital bed holding his hand when his heart monitor went flat. I've never forgotten that sound. He looked down at Zara, eyes wet. "So when I saw you tonight, shaking and terrified, trying to hold yourself together, I knew exactly what." "I'm so sorry. I can't even imagine." "Mira is going to be fine," Damien said with sudden fierceness. "This hospital has excellent surgeons. She got here in time. She's young and healthy. She's going to be absolutely fine." Zara wanted to believe him. She nodded and let him guide her back to the chairs. They sat down side by side, and Damien kept holding her hand. "Tell me about her," Damien said. "Tell me what Mira is like when she's not in a hospital bed." So Zara talked. She told him about Myra's love for fairy tales, her collection of stuffed animals, how she wanted to be a veterinarian because she thought animals were nicer than people. Damien laughed. "That sounds like someone else I know. Someone who takes care of everyone else before thinking about herself." They fell into comfortable silence. The clock ticked slowly forward. 30 minutes passed, then an hour. Damien never left her side. He went to get coffee and brought back 2 cups, one with cream and sugar, somehow knowing her preference. "Why did you really come with me tonight?" Zara asked during their second hour of waiting. Damien was quiet for a long moment. "Honestly, I don't entirely know. When you were standing at my table trying so hard to keep it together, I saw something in your eyes that made me feel more awake than I've felt in years. Everyone in my world is fake, Zara. They smile and say what they think I want to hear. But you looked at me like I was just another person between you and something that really mattered." "That's because you were," Zara admitted. "I'm sorry if that's rude, but Mira is the most important thing in my life." "It's not rude. It's refreshing." He squeezed her hand. "And when you started crying, when you let yourself be vulnerable, I realized I wanted to help you. Not because it would look good, but because for the first time in a very long time, I felt like I could actually make a difference in someone's life." Before Zara could respond, the door opened and Dr. Pierce walked in, smiling. "The surgery went perfectly. We removed the appendix before it ruptured. Mira did great. She's in recovery now, and you can see her in about 20 minutes. "Thank you," Zara managed around the lump in her throat. "Thank you so much." After Dr. Pierce left, Zara turned to Damien and threw her arms around his neck. "She's okay. Myra's okay. I told you she would be," he murmured, and she could hear the relief in his voice. 20 minutes later, a nurse led them to recovery where Mira lay sleeping peacefully. Zara sat beside the bed and took her sister's hand, counting the steady beeps of the heart monitor like a blessing. Damien stood by the window, giving them space but not leaving. When Myra's eyes finally fluttered open, the first thing she saw was Zara's tear-stained smile. "Zara," Mira said groggily. "Did I get the ice cream yet?" Zara laughed through fresh tears. "Not yet, sweetie. But soon." Myra's gaze drifted to Damien. "Who's that?" "That's my friend Damien," Zara said. "He helped me get here to see you." "Hi, Mira," Damien said, approaching the bed. I've heard a lot about you. He pulled something from his jacket pocket. I got this from the hospital gift shop. I thought you might want a new friend. He held out a small stuffed bear wearing a doctor's coat. Myra's eyes went wide with delight. Thank you, she whispered, clutching it to her chest. He's perfect. As Zara watched Damien smile at her sister, something warm and terrifying bloomed in her chest. She was falling for this man. And that was going to complicate everything. Over the next 2 weeks, Mira remained in the hospital for observation. And every single day, without fail, Damien appeared. He came in the mornings with fresh pastries, in the evenings with new books and toys. He sat beside Myra's bed and read her fairy tales in different voices that made her laugh. Late at night, after Mira fell asleep, Damien and Zara would sit together in the hospital cafeteria over terrible coffee and talk about everything. He told her about the pressure of running his family's real estate empire, about the loneliness of being surrounded by people who only wanted something from him. She told him about her dreams of going back to school, of studying child psychology. You'd be incredible at that, Damien said during one late-night conversation. You have this way of making people feel safe. On Myra's 10th day in the hospital, Zara received the bill. The number at the bottom made her stomach drop, $52,000. She was still staring at it in shock when Damien returned. He took one look at her face and sat down. What's wrong? Wordlessly, Zara slid the bill across the table. Let me take care of it, he said simply. What? No. Absolutely not. Zara, this is nothing to me. Let me help you. It's not nothing to me, Zara said, voice rising. It's my responsibility. Mira is my sister. What if I already paid it? Damien admitted. I paid it 3 days ago when they first processed the billing. I knew it would be too much and I knew you would refuse help. You had no right. I know I overstepped. But I'm not sorry that Mira will get the care she needs and you won't destroy yourself trying to pay for it. His grip on her hands tightened. Zara, I care about you. These past 2 weeks, they've been the best weeks I've had in years. Please let me do this. Zara looked into his eyes and saw genuine emotion. Not pity, but real caring. And she realized that somewhere over the past 2 weeks, she'd fallen for this man. Thank you, she whispered finally. I don't know how I'll ever repay you. You don't have to repay me. Just keep being exactly who you are. The moment hung between them, charged with everything unsaid. Then Damien stood, walked around the table, and pulled Zara to her feet. His hands cupped her face gently. I'm going to kiss you now, he murmured. Tell me if that's not okay. Instead of answering, Zara rose on her toes and closed the distance between them. Their lips met in a kiss that was soft and sweet and full of promise. When they pulled apart, both were breathless. I've wanted to do that for days, Damien admitted. Me too, Zara confessed, but that night, lying on the pull-out couch in Myra's hospital room, Zara made a decision. She had to tell Damien the truth about who she really was. He deserved to know. The next evening, after Mira fell asleep, Zara took Damien's hand. There's something I need to tell you. Something important about who I really am. Zara, please. Let me show you. She deactivated her skin modifier. The change rippled across her body, skin shifting from human beige to luminous violet. Damien's eyes widened with shock and wonder. What? How? I'm not human, Zara said steadily. I'm Etherian. From a planet called Etheria. I came here to study human families. But Mira, what I feel for you, that's real. Damien stared, then slowly reached out, fingers tracing her violet cheek. You're purple. Very observant. And you trusted me enough to show me. His voice filled with awe. Zara, I don't care what you are. You're the woman who changed my life. When he kissed her again, it felt like acceptance, like home. She's stable, but we need to operate within 30 minutes. Her appendix is inflamed and at risk of rupturing. This is a routine procedure, but I need you to understand there are always risks. Dr. Pierce set a clipboard on Zara's lap and began explaining the procedure. Zara tried to focus, but the words blurred together. She picked up the pen with trembling fingers and signed her name. "Can I see her?" Zara asked when he finished. "Of course. Follow me." Zara stood, then looked at Damien. "Would you wait here? I should see Mira by myself." "I'll be right here when you get back," he promised. Dr. Pierce led Zara to the preoperative area where Mira lay on a hospital bed that looked far too big for her small body. Her face was pale, eyes wide and frightened. But when she saw Zara, she burst into tears of relief. "Zara, you came." Zara rushed to her side and gathered Mira into her arms. "Of course I came, sweetheart. I'm so sorry it took me a while. I'm here now. My tummy hurts really bad," Mira whimpered. "The doctors say they have to cut me open. I'm scared." "I know you're scared, baby girl. But Dr. Pierce is a really good doctor. You're going to take a little nap, and when you wake up, the pain will be gone and I'll be right there. Promise?" "I promise," Zara whispered, kissing her forehead. "You are the bravest little girl in the whole world, and I love you more than anything." A nurse appeared. "I'm sorry, Miss Vex, but we need to take Mira to the operating room now." Zara hugged Mira one more time. "I love you, Mira. Be brave for me." "I love you too, Zara." Zara watched as they wheeled Mira's bed toward the surgical wing. Mira waved until she disappeared through double doors. Then Zara was alone, and the tears came flooding out in great wrenching sobs. She found her way back to the consultation room in a blur. The moment she walked through the door, Damien stood up. He didn't say anything, didn't offer empty platitudes. He simply opened his arms. Zara walked into them without thinking. She pressed her face against his chest and cried like she hadn't allowed herself to cry in 3 years, not since the night she'd learned Myra's parents were dead and she was now responsible for a 5-year-old child. Damien held her firmly, one hand rubbing slow circles on her back, the other cradling the back of her head. He smelled like expensive cologne and something warmer underneath, something that felt like safety.